Brother Gabe, I'm uh I'm really excited to have you on here, man, and to create this space with you and to talk with you a little bit deeper. I mean, you have been someone in my life that I continue to share insane peak experiences with. Like again and again, I feel like every time I see you, it's a peak experience. It's crazy. I met you in a peak experience, and I don't think I've spent much time with you outside of peak experiences, man, which is
Yeah.
kind of crazy to think about. I was feeling into this today, like in preparation for this episode, right? And I started to feel into the fact that, one of the main reasons I really wanted to create this space with you is because like I love you as a brother and I really want to get to know more about you. Because it's like I see you and I feel you and I know who you really are, but I really don't know that much about your journey and like where you've come from and what you've gone through and what's going on. And probably the same for you to
Yeah.
me, right? Like
Sort
you
of
probably,
likewise. Yeah.
right? It's kind of likewise, right? And so I was just really pumped to create this space with you. And yeah, dude, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on here. Yeah, like you hit it right on the nail. I know we met at a point in my life where pivotal moment and just continued to see each other at times or with the space that we were creating, just like you mentioned, it is really just peak, the highest vibration, right? Just love and just being present with the people in the moment, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, and not to say it's a little selfish, right? Where we might not have like shared the ups and downs of our lives, and we get to share those peak moments. But I think yeah, one of the main things has been always when I return back to my, let's say, regular living after moments with you guys and the Sacred Vibrations family is always just what I bring back also to my regular life and how I can raise just the overall vibration of the people around me. Because
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's like, one part of me like feels into the fact that none of that shit matters on one level, right? Because it's like, on one level, it's like I know everything I need to know about you, if that makes sense,
pretty
right?
much exactly.
And like the rest of it is experience, which is also super important, and which is why I've created this space, right, where I want to talk more about you. But I think it is important to kind of touch on that, right? Like this idea of like you don't need to know everything about a person and the experiences they've been through to love them, to trust them, to know them, right? To see them. And I think that's really important to touch on. And at the same time, it's like, creating space to get to that place is great, but that's not needed in order to have all those things already, right? Love,
So
it's not needed as a prerequisite to love. It's not needed as a prerequisite to trust. And none of that shit's needed, right? And I think
exactly.
that's super beautiful. And I think, earlier in my life, I required those things in order to love and in order to trust. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there listening to this that require those things in order to love, in
Yeah,
order to trust. I mean, was that a part of your life where you used to require those things?
I'd say a bit just to, I think at probably a certain point in my life, I realized that the more effort you give into that, I guess that mind state of who this person is and the exact specifics, instead of, right, it just takes you out of the moment, right? It's just you're in your head thinking about things instead of just being present. So yeah, I think specifically maybe the first time we met, I would say that's where I probably saw the needle move a lot towards the other direction. And then yeah, I think I don't want to jump the gun and say that like the experience we shared the first time we met and how that kind of transpired, where we pretty much didn't speak for I don't know, we probably hung out for 3 days and we maybe said 10 words to each other. And then it wasn't until the dinner that we really kind of had a little more space. But then again, it was only maybe about an hour or two of communication and sharing our experiences. But being able to participate in countless hours of just vibrational presence, love, which is a like an example, right? It was just a moment in time where I allowed myself to go into that space where it's like, yes, it feels natural. It's not. It's true. You can meet people on a plane of pure love, right? Of just sharing and not asking, right? And not trying to investigate or be a detective on why, and just just be.
Yeah, it's like there's like so many different ways to communicate. And I think that like verbal communication is the main way that most people like communicate. But dude, like there's so many other ways. And I feel like our relationship is a perfect example of that. And to kind of like, I don't know, like let's set the tone for people, right? So like we met on the dance floor and literally just smashed the dance floor together for hours,
Yeah,
bro, without even saying a word to each other, just next to each other. Like we definitely like connected eyes many times
like,
and we were just like vibing together, dude, the entire
yeah,
night, right? And then that lasted for another couple of days, man. We did it again and then we had a dinner together and stuff like that, right? But
yeah.
you know, you've mentioned a few times to me like where you were at that moment in your life and what was going on. And but I'd like to kind of like back up a little bit before we get to that and when you got to that place and kind of tell me like a little bit more about like what happened before that
Right.
moment, right? And like
Okay.
what feels relevant to you and yeah, man, how you kind of got to the place where you are now. Like what are the big milestones? What are some of the experiences that kind of come up for you? And yeah, man, go for it.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I'll share maybe a bit of the origin. So I was born in Venezuela, in Caracas, Venezuela. My mom moved to the United States and separated from my father when I was 6 months old. So I spent just about 12 years without let's say, a direct father figure in my life. And that's where maybe my brother filled in that role. And then at just about 12 years, my stepdad kind of entered the picture, and his influence in my life, I can't diminish that in any way, shape, or form. It was pure love. So I think that would be a major milestone where just seeing another man's just unconditional love from a space of let's say, biological father. Right? Imagine if you grow up from 0 to 12 without a direct father figure, you still go to school and interact with and see other parents and how they interact, right? The partnership, the man and the female, or just two people in general, right? Versus a single mother raising three kids. It Not to say that there is lack of, but you interpret that as a kid that way, right? There's something missing, let's say. So it isn't until, I would say, we can maybe fast forward. I'll touch more a little bit. Let's say at 12, I did go through a bit of, not a life-changing, let's say, illness, but I did get I had like a flu shot and then I got a bad reaction to it. So I was diagnosed with like GBS, which is Guillain-Barré syndrome. Luckily, it was like it was like a variation of it. I lived with it for about 2 months, where pretty much progressively I lost like the ability to walk pretty much, and my nervous system from the waist down. Luckily, we went to the doctor, and there was about 2 weeks of time in the hospital where the doctors ran multiple diagnoses, and they weren't able to identify what was wrong with me because of how long I had been with the symptoms. So usually GBS, about 2 weeks after you get it, it'll spread to your to your respiratory system, and then if it's not treated within those 2 weeks, you pretty much pass away. So us telling them, hey, it's been for 2 months, that kind of had ruled that out until those neurological neurosurgeon, or just like a doctor in the neuro field, don't know the term yet
Yeah.
right now, but pretty much he was able to diagnose. They gave us the treatment, and then after that there was a bit of physical therapy to get me back on my feet. And yeah, so I think that experience maybe didn't fully click for me as a 12-year-old kid. Right? You're just in a hospital bed. Your mom takes time off work to be with you. Your family, your friends, they come and visit you. And we would maybe fast forward a bit to, let's say, high school, end of high school time. Growing up in Miami in the 2010s, 20 teens is a bit socially exhausting, I would say. There's a lot of like putting up charades or acting certain ways to fit in. And I always felt that there was like a clash in my ability to express how I felt inside because of trying to fit into, let's say, certain social circles and things like that. And it wasn't until a little after high school that, again, I just to speak on it, I did try some psychedelics, right? I tried
Hmm.
mushrooms and then LSD, and it wasn't until those experiences that I felt like I let go of these kind of like programs that I had where I was like, I need to fit in, I need to do these things that internally were maybe like there was a bit of a conflict in my own mental just thinking. And once I had those experiences, I shared them with a couple friends. We grew to just love each other, right? At a basic level, there's certain times where you get to like a non-verbal state, and you're just standing next to somebody and just breathing for 2, 3 hours and connecting and just being in those like having those experiences just allowed a new experience to let's say like a seed, right? So then
Yeah.
you go back to your regular life, and now you're just trying to look back and say, okay, well, I can see now where I am putting up, let's say, a front or falling into a program. And I'd say maybe a couple years after that, I did go through it's called the Landmark Forum. So it's a life coaching seminar. It's pretty intensive. It's 10 hours a day for 3 days. And then, so it was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's pretty much a group of about 100 individuals led by, let's say, like a leader of that forum. And the main premise was to assist or guide all of us through how we were interpreting our lives and how maybe we were attaching or identifying with an experience or traumatic experience that we had gone through. So for me, particularly, the two were being abandoned by my father. That was like a story I've been living with for like 20 years, like looking at my father. And he did come back into the picture at about 17.
Hmm.
And the big conflict there, or the contrast, was my father was relatively well off. And I kind of grew up with not to say a poor family, but low middle class. There was never any like, let's say, food missing, but there were certain, like, you grow to learn to not to ask for certain things because you know the situation you're in. And his influence was a bit skewed, right? Against just like 17, you're still kind of going to his programs. He bought me a car, he bought me a watch, he bought me items, like physical things, to, I guess, try to buy my love. And was a relatively smart individual. I knew what he was kind of doing. I took from him those things, but maybe, and again, maybe put up a front, shared the love, but didn't internally. And internally, there was still that story. Look, you did abandon me. So then, whenever things, let's say, arguments or conversations got tough, I would always pull that card out. Hey, look, you abandoned me, so you still have a bunch of time to make up for it. That was one of the major stories. The the impact of sharing that story with 100 strangers. You hear 100 strangers' stories as well, right? So throughout the course of the weekend, you slowly go, say, processing that trauma, and you learn to stop attaching yourself to those previous traumas, or identifying with those previous traumas. So that was a major, let's say, turning point in my life where I kind of left that forum. The
How old were
structure
you
was,
around that point?
I was 19.
And how old are you now?
Yeah, I'm 28.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So that happens. It was kind of like a switch. So now I learned where it was. So because let's say it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you went back to your regular life on Monday, and then Thursday or Tuesday they invited you to bring people to a gathering. And so I invited my mom and my dad, and those were, so the other story I had been living with was, so to go back to the, let's say, the Game Beret story. I had told my mom that I had this weird feeling in my legs that I could barely walk. But I lived so close to my middle school at the time that it was normal. It was like I would walk to school. It's not even a mile walk, maybe zero point 0.5 miles, a short walk. But if you go losing your ability to feel your legs, you so then I get to school and all my friends are like, Gabe, what's going on? Like, so it started slowly getting progressively getting worse. And we went to my pediatrician. The pediatrician says, look, there's nothing physically wrong with you. You have to set an appointment with like an orthopedic doctor. And then that orthopedic doctor appointment isn't for about a month. So it was like about a month period of time where I'm a kid going through these like putting on my socks. I had to like grab my legs and like put it on my the edge of my bed to be able to reach down and put my sock on. Like these things that I'm going through, and my parents, not to say that they overlooked it, but again, we're all going through what we're going through, and everything happens. There's divine timing for everything. So maybe it was all the extra effort I put in was what kept me alive. We don't know, right? Because the doctors don't. There's no real way to know, and that's how I chose to interpret it after a while. So that was a card I would always pull on my mom whenever. So between like 12 to 20, or till 19, I would always pull that card out whenever arguments happen or she wanted me to do something I didn't want to do. I was like, but mom, remember you pretty much almost let me die, and it's a tough thing to internalize. So in that 3 day period of time, you stop blaming other people for the things that happen. And you start looking back at all the extra stuff you've put on top. Like how many times did I pull that to my mom? Did I value my mom's feelings at any point? And I say, hey, look, if your son, like imagine my mom made a mistake, let's say she regrets it. She's not like, yeah, go like suffer, child. Like
Yeah.
so having that, let's say, perspective just allowed, it was like a domino effect where, okay, it was my mom, my literal mother, single mom raised my mom. That's my everything, that's the person that pretty much breathed life into me. So I expressing my apologies to her and my father for pretty much both those stories where I felt like there was a lot of, and again, I'll spare the details, but pretty much we all were teenagers, right? We all had those types of interactions with our parents where we wanted to do stuff. Your parents kind of were strict or didn't allow you. And kind of dropping all of that with those two key pillars, two key characters in my life, it was like a trip. It's like if I can apologize to my mom and my dad and get to a place where we can communicate at a very honest and high integrity level, how like imagine now all these people that I were calling my friends, but putting up fronts to try to be friends with them,
Yeah.
and it was just a domino effect pretty much after that. Um, I would say it's that paired with those psychedelic experiences because you I kind of like all clicked. It was like a yeah, like a domino effect. So pretty much I start meeting people again, sort of, and go back to your life with this new perspective, and you start seeing those those same things in other people. Now I could see how my friends is interacting with his parents, and then now I'm this person where maybe before I would be like, yeah, F your parent, or "Oh, I can't believe your parent is treating you that way." And now my advice now is shifting. The perspective I'm giving the people around me now is a bit more, hey, why are you talking to your mom like that? Oh, because she's like this. So it's like, but she's still your mom, Or so those were like the small dominoes that started to fall. And then we get to, let's say, about 21, 22. You start to be able to go to clubs and dancing. And I think that's like the next major turning point where it's, let's say, the expressing yourself. Um, as a teenager, early 20s, you tend to drink a lot of alcohol. That helps you in the social environments to allow yourself to like express yourself. For me, I really was always drawn to music. I know we know Steven. That's like my one of my best friends from high school. Quick story there. I he we met through PlayStation, like literally gaming, and he asked me, "Oh, are you going to this party this weekend?" "Oh yeah, okay, great. I can't wait to meet you." We meet at a party, and it was odd because the way he was moving was always like, okay, I can tell he's gonna ask me something. I don't know what, but pretty much he asked me, "Do you drive to school?" I say yes, and he's like, "Okay, great. Can you give me a ride to school? My mom pays a bus driver $20 a week to drive me to school, and I would appreciate Yeah, but she picks me up too early. Is there a way for you to pick me up? I'll give you those $20. Those $20 for me. I had a Honda Civic at the time that was pretty much a full tank of gas. So I was like, okay, great. And then you go meeting him. We connected over like FIFA, that was the soccer video game, and then just music. So you're in your car, you're playing music, we're connecting, and imagine just music in the say now looking back is essentially just a vibration that's being played from the speakers, and we're open-minded individuals listening and interpreting the music and connecting at that level. So fast forward to let's say 21, 22, he introduces me to Club Space in Miami. And that first outing to that club, it was because in Miami there's a lot of clubs and there's a scene and there's almost like there's these other more Latin style clubs, so the vibe is a little different. It's a little less freedom and dancing and expression, and it's a lot more of what are you wearing, who you're with, uh, like, do you have a watch on? Do you have cologne on? What are you drinking? Are you drinking the more expensive alcohol versus the cheaper alcohol? And again, just that wasn't the reason why I wanted to go out and dance, right? I was there to dance, to listen to music and express, and move my body in the way that my brain was interpreting the music. It didn't really click for me. So it wasn't until Steven's like, look, we have to go to space because I've already gone and I can tell you this is pretty much what we're supposed to do. And I took his word for it. It was crazy. It was camel fat. It was Gorgon City and then it was camel fat. And it's like first time hearing DJs that don't know who anyone is, and you go there and it's just what 100 to 300 people all just dancing. Again, there's probably some drugs being consumed, but the the bottom line is we're shaking, we're moving, we're vibrating, we're reacting to music. We're not like posing, right? We're not there to try to attract other people's attention. We're here to express how we feel about the music. So that was probably one of the main milestones in my life, experiencing that for the first time. Quite literally, the weekend after that was EDC Orlando. I was a little broke at the time, so I couldn't afford the full weekend experience. So I had to settle for just a Sunday ticket. But imagine like going from your first rave at Space to the next weekend, Sunday, EDC Orlando, Gorgon City, Camel Fat, Fisher, Solardo. It's just massive DJs. And again, all the way to the peak. I leave that drive back from Orlando to Miami is about 4 hours. And in that car ride back home, knowing, okay, I'm going back into my life now, this kind of like vacation's over. I I had a not an epiphany, but there was these like 5 areas of my life or 4 areas of my life I knew that I needed to progress in to be able to dance at a higher expression of myself. So it was like looking into a mirror and seeing, okay, Gabriel, you like this a lot. Is this something that you want to continue to do? Yes. I played sports growing up, so the competitive nature, it wasn't about competing against anyone pretty much other than your past self. This person that just you just took to this rave, how can we raise the vibration more? So there was a little yoga element there, making sure I was exercising a bit more, my nutrition, making sure you're eating, getting your stamina up, finances, right? Raving can be expensive, festival tickets are expensive. So how can I make more money to make sure that I can afford this? And then just your overall I'd say dropping the judgingness, because again, growing up in Miami and the social element, you're putting up a front, which in contra is going to make you judge people first before. 'Cause imagine the first person you're judging is yourself, and then you're going to judge other people. Um, so then we return. There's not a plateau that happens, but again, you go to in a year span, there's 52 weeks. This means there's 52 weekends, somewhere around 24 raves in a year, right? Meeting individuals, but then there's the same kind of like cycle where it's like, yeah, you meet people, they're kind of just there to do drugs and express themselves and learn. And then there's women, and they're kind of there for the physical aspect of it, not necessarily this like vibrational, spiritual aspect, which is where I feel like my connections were, but not really, I couldn't articulate it, right? I can feel it And I can go to a rave and be like, yeah, I don't like those people because they're there for these types of reasons. And enter Hermes and Ben and Tyler. And the term that I gave you guys in my heart and my life is energy wizard gurus. So that's something I came up with at the end of it. So to give everyone a little context, we pick, or the first time I meet Ben is we're picking you guys up after dinner to go to a Brian Sid set. And like in my life, one of the biggest things I had was the smell of body odor. I was very sensitive to it, and I was always super judgmental about it. Like if somebody smelled like body odor, I always like was like, okay, I can't. I hate this person very much. Like literally, even to use a word like that, like I hate this person. Like I remember you guys get into Steven's car, and I'm just like, oh my God, what the heck? Who are these people? Why is like there's just this smell is just driving me nuts. Oh my God, oh my God. And then we get to the dance floor, and I have this, okay, Steven is not gonna like let's say fail me. He's not inviting me here to like these grown men, like 'cause this is this concept where it's like, yeah, you go to a club with like women or something like that, but finally dropping all of those barriers and all of those kind of like walls and then dancing. And then the moment it was like, oh my God, you see, like these people are dancing. These people aren't here to wow other people. They're not here to attract other people. They're here to express themselves. And a big thing is you start to go to the raves and the people around you, if they're not on the, let's say, the frequency or the wavelength, they tend to judge. And then they're like, yeah, I mean, you're just out there doing drugs, you're throwing away your life, this and that. So a big conflict I had in my life was where, particularly with my older brother, who had pretty much helped raise me, and I had always seen in as this major role model in my life. He was very not against it, but just he had never really wanted to try. And when like he would always react to me raving in a let's say negative or neutral way instead of being like, yeah, I can't wait to go with you. But so I had this like lack of reassurance of the future. And it wasn't until I met you guys that it all really clicked for me. It's like, look, this is something that is sustainable. There is a reason why I feel drawn to this energy. And it is because we're pretty much practicing love and gratitude while we're dancing. Like and again, just had to be Brian said too, where it's like, this guy is not, is not the, like, not on the main stage, and not like, do not sit on the furniture. This is a very small, tight club,
Yeah.
and you're there. So you learn to get over the whole body odor thing. I was like, by the end of the night, I was pretty much like hugging
Surrounded.
you. Yeah, no, hugging
Surrounded
you, fully
beings.
hugging you, like fully breathing it in, like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that was again, so another major pillar. You go back to your life. I'm going crazy telling all my friends, guys, this is how we're doing it. Like we're go to clubs and dance. Like be present and dance is a meditative practice borderline. It's gonna help. How does it help, Gabriel? Do it, and then after have a conversation about it. Like we did it. We did it for 3 days in a row for 10 hours a day, and then you have a dinner and you really get to connect. So I think it's that brings us to a relatively present moment where we're communicating, and then and then we had that talk where I think you had like a similar you had your brother, right? You have an older brother. So I
Hmm.
think that was like a big conflict I had in my life that was something I wanted to talk about. And you had not an answer pretty much or another perspective to share. And I think I'm not sure if you recall that conversation, but that did kind of assist me in some way. It
Yeah.
did.
All right. I want to hear more about that. So hold that thought, dude.
Mhm.
Insane story, bro. There is so much in that story, man. Holy crap. Have you ever had the platform or like the space to share all of that before?
I don't not that in particular. I've shared it with my friends, my family too, my
Gotcha.
mom. I know I've shared all of this
Dude,
with the people I love and care about.
what a fucking story, man. As you're sharing, dude, I mean, so many things came up. That illness you had, the fact that like you would lose sensation in your legs. I'm picturing that, and then I'm picturing the first time I saw you and what your legs were doing. I'm just like, wow. Dude, that would have been crazy. One of the main things that comes up for me that I feel like is like really important that you have the ability to share that a lot of people have been through. I haven't been through this, but that you have been through And if you're open to sharing more, I think it could like really like benefit a lot of people. So like your experience with your dad, right? And how you had this experience of like him not being present and then him being present and then you come into a place like where you were able to kind of like forgive. So like forgiveness is such a beautiful thing and I've spoken about that a lot, man, not only in this podcast but in life in general, and I've spoken about it as like forgiveness is like an us thing, it's not a them thing,
Hmm.
right? And that's pretty much what you're saying is like, man, I came to this place where I was able to forgive them and that freed me, right? And so my question to you is like, and if you're open to go a little bit deeper, is
Yeah.
like, how did you get to a place where you were able to forgive him? Like, how did you get to a place and like what thoughts and what feelings came up for you that allowed you to come to a place where you're like, I don't need to carry this anymore, man. Like, this is really heavy, dude. And I don't need to carry this anymore. I don't need to be the victim anymore, man. Like, tell me more about that.
Yeah. The so that kind of ties into that landmark form where it's like imagine you're in a 3 day, 10 hour intensive sharing, and then you don't have to share every day, but you're listening to other people share their stories. And it's like, okay, I have a pretty like you live with the story in your head. Yeah, I was abandoned as a child. Like I was abandoned as a child. Anytime a story or any question or a thought of my father came up, the first thing is it's a lens of I was abandoned as a child. But then all this other stuff happens, comes back into my life. And again, you can always perceive it as a manipulation tactic, right? That's pretty much what I did. I wanted a new car. Oh, dad, remember you abandoned me. So what are you gonna do to earn my love back?
Mhm.
And it's like how selfish of an individual are you to put your love on an auction block, put a price tag on your love. And at the time that it happened, it's really you forgive yourself, and once you forgive yourself, it's almost like I cannot wait to share this with other people. Like it's I don't want to be selfish with this internal forgiveness that I found to myself. How can I not express this to somebody else? How can I give this to somebody else?
Mhm.
How can I be somebody that can help another person forgive themselves? So imagine I put myself in my father's shoes for a split second, and I was like, shit, what could my father like? What could I do as a father to actually like, earn my son's forgiveness? Right? I'm putting it on an auction block, and it's like that's just not like so one of the main things is if you were like one of the main ideas that they pitched there that clicked for me was if you were to live somebody else's life, you odds are you wouldn't make any different decision that they've made in their life. To say that you would make a different decision than another person is like a paradox. You haven't lived the life that they've lived. So to say that you would have made a different decision is it's not it's just not like true in the way that we live. So truly forgiving and then realizing that from that space now I healed. I'm young, 21 at the time. There's still all this time for me to live. Am I gonna live? Because then again, you're sitting in that room. There's older people there. There's people that are 60 years there, 60-year-olds that haven't forgiven
Mhm.
whatever it was, and they've lived 40 plus years of their lives, and now you're gonna see the residue of that. So imagine if you don't give that up, you're pretty much tainting the rest of the time that you have. And it was like, wow, I can't do that. I can't live with that. That isn't really what I want. I've always been drawn to like this peace, love, and tranquility aspect of life that I realized like I was like, yo, I don't want to be part of making my dad feel any less. You've already you have to live with your own decisions, which is you abandoned me. If that was my perspective, what's his perspective? Put myself in his shoes. Shit, I abandoned my son for X amount of time, but I still was able to come back. It's not like he was dead, right? It's not like he was in jail or things, right? That was like, yeah, that's it. You're pretty much never gonna see your dad again. And then just the perspective of being able to start anew and get to a place where I've always wanted, like as a kid, I've always wanted a dad. Well, okay, you just because you didn't have him for the first 17 years of your life doesn't mean that you're just gonna block him out or always treat him a certain way for the next X amount of your life. And then once you get into that perspective, it's like, holy shit, this guy has a whole other, like the same way that I came to that realization of like my identifying with those traumas, this individual has their own traumas. And now I'm a person that was able to overcome my traumas. How can I help in any way? Either not add to their trauma, or if we can actually communicate and get to a place where we can work on it and get to a space where we can grow, then here we go. And we can do it.
That's really beautiful, dude. I that thing that you were saying, like if you would have lived their life, you would do nothing different. That's something I say a lot, man. I say a lot to people. It's something I came to a realization to myself. The way I say it to people is like, if you were them, you would be them. You know what I mean? Like it's
Like
simply put,
literally.
bro. It's like everyone's like so quick to judge other people. It's like, oh, they did this and they did that. I would never do that. It's like, bro, if you were them, you would be them, dude. You would do everything they did, right? You don't have the awareness to do something different, right? And that just frees shit up so quick. Like it just brings compassion so quickly. Another couple of questions that I bring into the space is also it's like, what would I have to believe or think in order to do what they did? And that brings in compassion straight away, dude. Like,
So
holy shit, man. You know what I mean? And so that's really beautiful, man. Like along those lines as well, right? Like what, you know, I speak to a lot of people and I've spoken to a lot of people that, have grown up without a dad or grown up without a mom and stuff like that. And like one of their main hurdles is like coming to a place where they realize their worth and they realize like I'm enough, right? Because like growing up without a parent who, again, they like to use the word abandon, right? And make it about themselves and like be the victim, but like, oh, I'm not enough for this person to love me. What's wrong with me? Kind of thing, right? And so, like, was that ever something you felt? And if it was, like, how did you deal with that? And how did you get to a place where you realize, like, hey, man, I'm enough. I'm worthy. I'm loved, you know?
yeah, I think so that's where like the conflict was, where like I was a very manipulative child. So I kind of would you're back in my life. What do you have to offer?
Yeah.
Money? Great. How can I get the most money out of this? And
Yeah.
until you get to that, like wouldn't want to put somebody through something, like personally, right? This is not me speaking about my
Yeah.
life. Like I wouldn't want to put anybody through any additional suffering if I can control it. So once I came to the realization of like the story I'm telling myself is the manipulation I'm using against this person, take a step back and you're like, holy shit, you're creating a hurt. Like you're pretty much strumming their heart to get what you want
Hmm.
in a negative way, some way, right? Like this is like with my mom. That was the one that kind of hit me most, where I was like, dude, my mom raised me, man. My mom sat there in the hospital bed next to me. Whenever we'd get into arguments after that, I was like, "Oh, mom, you abandoned me." I was like, I see her crying, and it's like, I had succeeded, but you don't want to make your mom cry, man.
Yeah.
Like in the
Yeah.
moment to get what you want, maybe, but in the long run, you kind of just learn that the ultimate vibration is love, and being somebody that can take, right, can like all you get, like let's say there's this idea that you were abandoned, but I'm I'm the one that can decide whether or not I was abandoned. Hey, dad, you took a hiatus for a certain period of time. Cool. You're back in my life. Great. Here we are. He
So
had another dog.
do you feel like, do you feel like you learn to love yourself first and then you learn to love them? Or did you feel like you learn to actually like love them first and have compassion for them first and then learn to love yourself and have compassion for yourself?
I think that definitely myself first.
Okay.
And then it was, you apply that same arithmetic of put myself in their shoes. So like I know
Gotcha.
what it did for me to love myself. And now if I'm in any way, shape, or form stopping them from loving their self, I want to take that away. I don't ever want to stop you from loving yourself. I don't ever, right? Like that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
my, and when you realize, like again, because you're so deep in your life that
Yeah.
you don't see that perspective until you have an out of body experience,
Mm,
or you see it from another perspective, and they're like, and again, maybe movies too. I've watched a lot of movies, and just seeing some deep portrayals. It's like, dude, I lived a traumatic life. There is some crazy shit other people live through, man, and
mm,
other people were able to overcome that as well. So not to downplay anything I went through, but I'm still alive. I still have all my limbs. I made it out, or to some way, shape, or form. I'm relatively successful in my life, and I can breathe. And I
mm.
can sit in meditation. I can. There's
Yeah.
a roof over my head. Like
Yeah,
that's
perspective is a beautiful thing. The ability to realize, like you said, kind of step back out of your own life and start to like observe other people's lives and realize like what's going on, and realize like, all right, yeah, like there's a lot of shit going on in my life, but ultimately, like there's a lot of shit going on in everybody's life, right? And so, like to think that my life is more important than everyone else's, and to think that my trauma is more important than everyone else's, you get to a point where you're like, actually, that's not true at all, man. Um, Dude, that's super cool. And I relate a lot to like what you're saying and like the processes you went through. Even like with my childhood and stuff. I I'd love to talk more about, dude, it's so funny. I love hearing like other people's perspectives and like things that they were like experiencing and thinking, and that I've never heard about, like when they met me, right? And so it's like obviously like when you first met me and you had that experience with us, you realize very quickly that we were people that didn't really give a fuck about the stuff that you cared about in that moment, like whether it was like how we smelled or whatever it was, like we didn't give a fuck, right? We came from we came from smashing the dance floor
yeah.
to meeting up with you to smashing the dance floor again, right? And it was so cool, man. I love hearing like all these different perspectives. I love hearing like how you're talking about how after that experience, all you want to do is share it, right? Like all you want to do is like kind of shout it from the rooftops, dude. Like, hey, man, come experience this, dude. It's insane.
Literally.
And I don't think like a lot of people, when I say I don't think a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people that are hearing this maybe don't truly understand how beautiful and spiritual and transformational like dancing is, right? And I think the reason for that is exactly what you said. And it's the same experience I had in my life, right? Like I grew up, I went to clubs and it was dirty, bro. Like watching men like fucking hyenas trying to like manipulate women to get with them, like drinking insane amounts of alcohol, just completely losing themselves, taking insane amounts of drugs, completely losing themselves. I mean, chewing their jaw off, like just crazy, right? Compared to like, and like they associate that with raves and they associate that with clubs and with dancing. But just like anything in life, that's one way that people do it, right? There's so many ways to do it, right? And if you think about like our ancestors, and if you think about where we came from, music has always been a huge part of everyone's lives. Music has been a huge part of ceremonies. Music has been a huge part of connecting with whatever gods you believed in, right? Connecting with higher powers and so on and so forth, connecting with our power as individuals. And so I think I shared this with you, but like, dude, growing up, like dancing, I did not want to dance, man. I was super self conscious. I would judge myself. I would judge everyone else around me. I remember going to weddings with my mom as a young kid, and she would want to dance with me. And I'd be like, no, I don't want to dance. She's like, come on, you should pull me on the dance floor. And I'd be like, so embarrassed, man. I couldn't move. I would say what a lot of people say to me now when I pull them on the dance floor. They're like, I can't dance, dude. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't dance, bro? Like, just move, bro. There is no way to do this right. You can't do it right and you can't do it wrong. You know what I mean? And to reflect on that and to see where I am now. I mean, look at the Ben that you met, right? Like to think that I like that's the way I was is crazy. And so it's really cool to like share these stories with one another and kind of like realize where we met each other and kind of where we came from, right? But at the same time, like it was so like Ramez and Diego and Tyler, they had a massive effect on my life. Just like we've influenced your life in a really beautiful way, they influenced my life in a really beautiful way, right? Like they put me in those situations to get past that. And by the time I had met them, I was a different person, right, than I was when I was a kid. But I hadn't put myself in those situations again for one reason or another, I just had never really gone out and started dancing. And so started hanging around them. And just because I was around them, I got back into that space. And I, as the person I was then, kind of aware, didn't judge, didn't care. I just started losing it, man, and having so much fun. And what I realized was, dude, like this is an energy source, right? Like I can absorb energy while I'm on the dance floor. I can express energy and send energy out while I'm on the dance floor.
Mhm.
I can receive energy from the music and I can have this really cool relationship with the music where like the music is feeding me and I'm using that fuel to then feed the space around me. Right. And it became like something that is like really important to me and something that I give a lot of like intention to and a lot of attention to make sure that I'm experiencing this throughout the year. When you started expressing to me your story, when you're like, hey man, after Orlando, I started thinking, all right, how do I like make myself like a capable human
Better.
being? Yeah, dude, like how do I make myself a capable human being to continue to put myself in this space? Dude, I bet so many people listening to this had never thought about that, right? Like you're talking about it like it's a fucking sport, bro. Like
Yeah.
it's something that, like, all right, man, I need to eat right. I need to get my mind right. I need to get my money right so I can dance, bro. you
Yeah.
know? And it's so fucking cool, man, to hear someone express it like that because it is really cool and it is really important, man. And it is something that can not only change our lives as individuals doing it, but we can change the lives of others doing it, man, which is so cool. And mine and your relationship is a beautiful example of that because as much as you feel that I've affected your life, you have affected my life in really beautiful ways also, right? And so let me share some of that shit with you. And
It's-
so I, by the time you met me, I was already smashing dance floors, right? But at the same time, like besides like Tyler and Ramez and Diego, there weren't really many people that like I felt could match my energy on the dance floor, dude. you know? And it wasn't a judgment thing, it was purely an observational thing, right? It just was, man. Just like you were talking about how like you can step onto the dance floor and you can straight away pick up on who's there to actually dance and who's there to like manipulate and like put on a mask and be like, look at me, kind of thing, right? And so, like, dude, like when I met you, well, I didn't really meet you. I just started dancing next to you, kind of thing, right? So,
Mhm.
like, when I met you, started dancing next to you, it was instantaneous. I'm like, this dude is here to fucking smash, bro. You know what I mean? And it was inspirational for me, man. It was super inspirational for me. It raised my vibration that night. I remember it. I'll never forget it, dude. Like, your energy raised my vibration. And I was like, let's go. I didn't want to get away from you, dude. I'm like, let's dance all night together, right? And the same night, man, I had a crazy experience. I don't know if I shared this with you. The same night, man, when we were in space, and there I was on the dance floor, and I connected eyes with this girl. This girl was dancing on one of the platforms. You know, those
Mhm.
platforms in space,
Mhm.
right? And my heart, dude, was like so open. I was in the space that you've seen me in many times, man,
Mhm.
where I can touch anything and it just transforms into fucking light, dude, you know? And I connected eyes with this chick and she connected eyes with me. And as soon as I connected eyes with her, I was like, I could not look away. And she like tried to escape. Like she was like, because it was like laser beams. I saw straight through her soul and she wasn't ready for that. Right. I'm guessing she never
Yeah.
experienced that before. And we talked later and she hadn't. And so I connect eyes with her, dude. And she's like, she looks at me and then she kind of like looks away. And then she looks back and I'm still looking at her. And then she kind of like looks away and she's trying to escape. And then she looks back at me and then she just locks in, dude. Right. And within like 5 to 10 seconds, like just starts crying, right? Just like starts bawling, crying. And we're like across the dance floor, dude. And what's happening in my world in that moment, from the moment that I locked eyes with her, what's happening in my world is just like insane amounts of love is just like pouring straight to her. I see her. I see her beneath all the makeup. I see her beneath the clothes. I just see her soul, right? And so and then I just start slowly walking towards her, and she's just crying the entire time. Doesn't look away ever again the entire time. We just lock eyes. I walk towards her, and then we just like so she's on the platform. I'm beneath the platform. I'm just looking up at her, and we're just like staring at each other, and she's just bawling, crying. Anyway, dude, I end up like she ends up coming down, and we connect real quick and have a bit of a chat, and then I go away. But like, dude, like those experiences are impossible. Like it's really hard to even like describe that experience to someone like within yourself, like what's going on. It's really hard for that person. Like it was really hard for her to explain to me what was going on. But going back to how we started this podcast, nonverbal communication, man, right? Like nothing needs to be said. And in those environments, in those moments when our hearts are just so wide open and we are so aligned and just pouring out light to the world around us, so many beautiful transformational things can happen that words can't express, right? And so I just wanted to share. Have I shared that with you before? Have I told you
I
this?
don't think so. I don't
Dude,
think so. But yeah.
crazy, man.
Wow.
Insane. And so that was the same night, dude, I met you. And it's just like it's just so beautiful, man. It's like I feel like a lot of people haven't had this experience, and I really want to encourage them to like let go and dance, man. Like let go and dance, dude. Get out there. Like forget about the people around you. Like at first,
Yeah,
in order to allow yourself to really just dance and smash
exactly.
and let go, right? And then from there, it's just like you're going to attract. Like we attracted each other, and like
Exactly.
every time we go out, dude, what happens?
Find more people.
It
And
just
meet more
like,
people.
yeah, it's like moths to the flame, bro.
Hmm.
Like we don't, and that's the coolest part. So going back to what you were saying before, there's a lot of people out there dancing in order to get people to notice them, right? And then you have us who go there with no intention to get anyone to notice us. We just want to dance, and everyone wants to
Express.
dance with us. And the reason, and what I've realized is the reason that they want to dance with us, and I think the most beautiful thing that I continue to experience is a lot of women want to dance with us, not in a sexual way, not because they
Hmm.
want to have a relationship with us, not because they want to fuck us, none of that. They want to dance with us because they know we don't care about them sexually. We're not
Yeah.
there to try and get in their pants. We're there to dance. We're there to have a good time, and they feel safe with us because of that. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things that has come out of this space is just like this kind of like brotherly like energy that comes out of us where like these women that don't feel safe normally kind of just blossom and start to feel really
Hmm.
fucking safe. And I take this super seriously. And you know, man,
Yeah,
like
bro.
especially
Yeah.
after the event we just had together and stuff like that, I take this really seriously because it's like I witnessed the opposite of that growing up and just how hard it must be for a woman to actually go out and have a good time when they're surrounded by like imbalanced masculine men who just want to
Yeah.
take advantage of them. And so it's really nice to create a space just by being yourself, not intending to create that space, just by
Hmm.
being yourself and being loving for these people to be free,
Exactly.
to feel safe, to
Express.
feel held. Yeah, express, dude. You know, and that's why it was so beautiful to see you and your girlfriend now,
Yeah.
Adriana, right?
Adriana, yeah.
Yeah, to like when I first saw you two together, you guys were like what I would consider to be like the most like beautiful expression of like a couple on the dance floor completely free allowing each other to be free like no handcuffs, no bullshit. Just like, hey man, let's smash together, and you can dance with this person and that person. Like, no one cares, bro. It's like, let's go, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I guess I'm interested to ask, like, what's it been like? I mean, what's it been like in your relationship with her, man? And like, what's your experience been like in the past with relationships, and how has that changed in this relationship with Adri?
Yeah. I think so. To touch a little more on the dancing element,
Yeah.
because it was something I had a realization of a bit to this last event, where it's almost like the word dancing has two meanings, or like what people think dancing is, like this performance or like organized dance, or I dance to get girls, right?
Mm.
Versus like a spiritual, internal, almost like a meditative practice that is dancing. This is what I would say what we do, right? We have no other intention besides presence, love, vibrating, and we're really internal, like we're turning off our senses, focusing on our ears. Because I know there's a lot of times where I'll just close my eyes and then I'm just
Same,
moving.
dude.
I'm moving, and
Same.
we can close our eyes for a minute or two on the dance floor,
Hmm.
and we didn't bump into anybody. Nobody. There's no groping. There's no, and it's this thing where with Adriana in particular, we met on a dance floor through a mutual friend, but it wasn't. Again, I'm not gonna lie and say I've never danced with the intention of trying to get a girl's attention.
Hmm.
That did happen in previous relationships, right? And I think that is like the one of the main differences that I had with Adriana, where when we first met, there was no intention. She did have a boyfriend at the time, and when again, like I'm a respectful individual, I'm not gonna even dance 5 feet away from you. Right? I'm not gonna dance a foot away from you because I know that you have a boyfriend, whatever. But you can tell the same way that that girl, you locked eyes with her and you connected. There's unspoken communication that happens through the eyes when you meet on maybe on a similar vibration. And it was like, and we've talked about it, and I've heard her speak on that exact moment and what how she internalized it. But for me, it was that it's I carry that in pretty much every dance space. And I was pretty much just waiting for a person to interpret it, not because then again, I can be there and the girl can maybe think that she's there, but then immediately she's like, no, yeah, I need to have sex with this guy, pretty much. And that wasn't the case with Adriana. It was like, I want to dance with you. The spiritual dancing. That's what I care about. I don't, everything else is what it is, but the height of our being together is on the dance floor, pretty much. That is where we express ourselves at our truest form. And that was pretty much what transpired between me and her. It was we shared the space dancing. We leave the dance floor. There's a bit of like talking about it. So like for in Miami, there's this like 3 Points festival that is pretty big, but it's kind of like a block party. And there's just like this idea that like we're humans. We have like they have like they say they like the government like right, they have to allow us to throw big massive parties because we're drawn naturally to music and dancing. And maybe that is like manipulated by corporations to promote like events and make profit off of them. And that's where we tie into this like sacred vibrations. We're not trying to make money off of this. We're trying to just create a container, a space for this,
Yeah.
and again, everyone that was there that night at the warehouse. Was anyone there trying to get anybody's attention? No, and that was even the craziest was this like massive like magnetism that there was on the dance floor. You could look at every single person in the eyes, and we were all dancing at that level. So with Adriana in particular, I mean, everyone that's ever seen us dance together has told us the same. So
Yeah, you guys kill it, dude. Dan and I did an episode already since Sacred Vibrations talking about the event and stuff like that. So that's cool. So a lot of people know what we're talking about if they've watched that. But it's like, dude, like what's coming up for me as you're talking is, dude, how cool is it? Because it's really cool for me, like to have like Kat right there, my wife, like I think there's this thing, right, that I notice. I get it, right? It's like you go out to a certain party or whatever it is, or you go out, and a lot of men are very protective over their woman, and I get it, and they should be in certain ways. I understand that, right? For sure, because there's a lot of people that don't have the love and respect that we have,
exactly.
right? Um, and let me touch on that real quick. I think there's two ways to go about this. I feel like there's a lot of men that don't trust their women. That's one thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm not
Okay.
talking about protecting your woman from a place of you don't trust them. I'm talking like understanding that, like, as being their husband or being their boyfriend, this idea of like being able to protect them is a
Yeah.
really beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
And keeping them safe and so on and so forth, right? Because there's many spaces where they're not able to keep themselves safe, right? So I think that's really beautiful. But again, not from that place of not trusting them and so on and so forth. But how cool is it to have the event that we had, to be in a space where you can just watch your beloved dance with anyone and not have to even like consider the fact that they're
Yeah.
not safe, dude. You know what I mean? Like to dance with any man, to dance with any woman, to dance with anyone who's in the fucking room, and just to see them like lose their shit and like just open up their hearts and just be a beautiful butterfly, dude. And not even have to think about it, knowing that
Yeah.
everyone that's in that container is going to treat her like the queen that she is.
Exactly.
You know, and this is something that really inspired that space for me, and me and Ramez created that was for our wives, dude. Was like
Yeah.
for a place for our wives to feel safe and be able to express themselves, man, because it's a real thing, dude. And I understand it and I get it. And so, I mean, is that the same for you?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So I'll give a little story. We took a trip to Nashville a couple weeks before the Sacred Vibrations, and it was my first time in Nashville. So there's that Broadway. There's just a bunch of, again, not the best containers of spaces. It's the Wild Wild West or like the Safari, and we had an interaction. And again, so after I meet you guys, and I'm Ramez is a whole other character because
Yeah.
his ability to transmute another person's energy into his is insane. Like
Hmm.
seeing, I've seen. There's a lot of stories. I don't want to ramble off too much, but I have this thing on the dance floor whenever, because like you become hyper vigilant. Right? If you're like we're protect, like you're the man, you have a partner, you have to protect them. That's kind of like the unspoken rule,
Yes.
and not from like you mentioned, not from a space of I don't trust you. It's from a space of there's danger. There's pretty much there's men out there that are not their intention is not anything other than like, horniness and whatever it is.
Yeah, and
We,
unfortunately, like, you know, fucking you're spiking drinks and all of this nonsense, dude, and just crazy
bro,
stuff that you shouldn't have to think about. But ultimately, it's like it is. I think it is a beautiful responsibility to take on as the
yeah,
boyfriend, and you know to be able to do that. So yes, for sure.
yeah. And there's a moment on the dance floor. So we're there for her cousin's graduation. We're literally all couples. We're like five different couples on a dance floor. We finally get to a club where there's EDM music. We're having a blast. And here enters this drunk guy, wraps his arms around the three girls. And like, okay, first, I always allow the women to handle it.
Hmm.
That's my first always
Same.
intention. I'm observing. Okay, a woman says, "Please, no, don't touch me physically with her hands," like telling you, "Yo, do not." And then again, like, why are you putting your hands on another human being, bro? Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Physical, no. The guy's forcing himself, and immediately I'm like, "Oh my God, what would Ramez do right now? What would Ramez do right now?" Because Ramez, I've seen Ramez pour a drink on another guy's head in the middle of the space dance floor. And the other guy look at Ramez in his face and like appreciate it, appreciate the fact that he did that to him. So I'm like, let like I was like, I just eyed him to his face, and then I chucked. He was wearing a hat. I literally with swift movement just chucked his hat off of his head, super quick. I was like, "Pew," and then I just stared him down, and he stuck his hand out trying to like apologize some way, and I
Yeah.
was like, I'm sorry, bro. Like like you're not gonna get an apology. Like you're I'm not gonna be able to accept this apology right now because you need to internalize this is unacceptable behavior. Now, I'm not a person that tells people what to do, but again, a girl told you, no, get
Yeah.
your hands off me, and you proceeded to continue to, let's say, impose your will on them, you're going to get met with a swift, again, I don't get physical because I'm not the biggest individual. And again, I'm relatively pacifist in my life. I've always never really tried to resort to that, let's say, a physical altercation, but it's just like it's not safe. And again, like you don't like I'm a man. I've never gone to a club and had an experience like that.
Yeah.
Women
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
and if you ask any woman out there, it happens pretty much anytime they go out in our society, and that's
No.
like a major red flag. Like it fosters this now hyper like sensitivity and hyper like awareness that they have to leave their house or their safe space and they can express themselves. Like you guys mentioned, you created this space so that your wives can feel this because we men we get to feel it. We're
Yeah.
the men. We can go to that same dance floor and any dance floor and smash at the level that we want to,
Yeah.
and whether or not anyone else appreciates it, it's gonna happen. A
Yeah.
woman can't
And no
because a
one's
woman
gonna,
starts
yeah,
smashing
yeah,
and that
exactly.
level of dance floor, a guy thinks that they're flirting, and it's
Exactly.
like that's not what's happening here, and
Yeah.
that's where it's just not fair almost to some degree. So
Yeah, it's not, man. It's really not. And it's like, we kind of saw it as our responsibility to like create this place. I mean, again, for ourselves as well, but man, really for the women, dude, it's just like, man, I want you to have that space. I want you to feel safe enough to completely express yourself. And then to see that, dude, to like, I haven't shared this with you, but like the one thing I am most proud of out of that whole event that we created was that I created a safe enough space for Kat to be able to express herself. That's the thing I'm most proud of, man. And like, and how many insane things happened that weekend, right? And so
yeah,
there's so many
yeah,
things for me to be proud of and love, but that's the most thing I'm proud of, dude. And that's what encourages me to continue to create
yeah,
spaces like that, right?
for sure.
And it's not just about Kat, it's about all of them, man. It's about every
Everyone.
woman deserves that place to be able to do that.
Mhm.
And it's unfortunate that they don't get more places like that, right? Um, hmm. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything else that comes up for you that you'd like to kind of share or talk about?
Yeah, I think just the concept of you guys, I mean, that we touched on it, it's just the energy wizard gurus. And you guys were finally like in a perspective in my life, gave it like I was able to perceive again, put myself like in my perspective when I met you guys, you were everything I was looking for. If that makes like any sense. It
It
was
does,
like
bro. It
I had
does.
been waiting for a group of individuals to dance because then that's the thing. You tell your friends, yeah, let's go dancing, and they're men, and men are intrinsically inherently going to seek women,
Yeah.
and and it's oh my God, like do you think like these guys want to flirt? Like, oh, what's your pickup line? What's your go-to Gabe? What's your go-to pickup line? I'm there like, guys, if you think that I'm out here dancing, because then that's what happens, right? You're
Yeah.
dancing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then there's now these women that aren't dancing are looking for a guy because it
Yeah.
goes both ways, and now they think that okay, Gabe is the guy. Let's because he's dancing. So then I just try to tell my friends, well, just dance. Like
Yeah.
that'll help you. But you're gonna see that that's not the point. The
It's not
point
the
is not
point.
to enter space and leave with a partner. The point is to smash and find yourself there, free yourself. Because again, like we live 9 to 5 jobs or lives, right? Where we work 5 days a week and then we get 2 days on the weekend to party or unwind. And like I'm 28, 30, like that's always been we want to have a partnership, right? We want to grow in life and have a family. And I would assume every man, right, or many individuals seek it,
Mm.
but seeking it is different than creating it. And I think that concept of, again, going out to try to find someone versus going out to be a beacon
Mhm.
and vibrate and
Mhm.
draw in energy and attention. Like you guys, like it was just a perfect example for me, and it's just helped propel me forward. And
Yeah.
I really can't wait to continue to create those spaces and be part of it and help it grow because I think everyone needs to experience that at least once in their life. Like
Me too,
really,
bro.
really dance, like really dance and not perform and just
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
Yeah. Me too, bro. Me too. Saying that, I understand it. I understand it. And just like you, I don't judge it, right? Like when I go out there and I see it, I get it, man. I get why people are doing that. I used to do that. Just like you said, you
Hmm.
used to do that. I get it, right? And so, we're not here judging that. We get it. But ultimately, something I want to reiterate that you said is like, it is a meditative practice. It is something that you can find yourself in, right? Dance in. It is something that if you give yourself to it will allow you to find freedom and surrender, right? it is something that also extends to the rest of your life, right? Like you're talking about going dancing not to find something, right? Not to perform something, but just to be yourself, right? And that extends to the rest of life. I feel like we wear so many masks in so many different experiences. And if we can just like learn to drop that and just be our authentic self in as many moments as we possibly can, free, unhindered, with no attachment, no identification, you're actually going to attract everything you've ever fucking wanted. And it's opposite to what you think. This idea of like, no, I need to focus on getting this woman. I need to focus on getting this job. I need to focus on getting this money and all this stuff. No, dude, you don't. You don't need to find a woman. You need to attract a woman. And the way you attract a woman that loves you for you is being you, dude, and not trying to like manipulate and not trying to put on a mask, but just being the best expression of yourself that you possibly can. And that's what attracted me to you as a friend and as a brother. And that's why I have all the fucking time in the world for you, dude. And anytime I'm in Miami, you're one of the first people I call.
Yeah.
You'll always be one of the fucking first people I call. And I want you next to me, dude, in every space I'm fucking in, dude, because I know what your heart is and I know what your intention is. And based on the story that you've told on this podcast, you've been through the shit just like me. And you came out the other side. And everyone that's listening to this has their own fucking story and they've been through the shit. Right. And this idea, there's no need to compare, no need to compare experiences. This was worse than this and all this bullshit. We've all been through shit. The question is, when are you going to forgive? When are you going to forgive yourself? When are you going to forgive the people around you? And when are you going to stop being the victim and allow yourself to shine your light, dude, and find whatever it is that allows you to elevate your light? For you, it's dancing. For me, it's dancing and so many other things. Do you have other things that allow you to like elevate your light in epic ways? Or is it just dancing?
Mainly dancing,
Mainly
I'd say.
dancing. Cool.
Yeah.
And so it's like, whether it's one thing or five things, doesn't matter, man. But when you find those things, allow those things, man. Step into that space.
Yeah.
Treat it like Gabe does, dude, where he's like, all right, I found this thing. I'm going to fucking make sure I'm the best raver there is in this world, dude, because that is how Gabe is changing the world. Changed my life. He's changed many people's lives. I've seen it, right? And so it's like, you want to answer this question, how do I change the world? Gabe's given you a really cool idea of how he's changing the world. I've given you insane amounts of examples of how I've changed the world. How do you change the world? Find your light, share your light, share your darkness as well with people from a space of light. Share your experience, right? Just like we have been doing on this podcast, right? Like share your struggles very vulnerably, very authentically, and people are going to be able to relate to it, right? And it's going to free you just getting it out there. And so before we go, dude, I want to ask you three questions I ask most people. I haven't asked everyone these because sometimes I just get so engrossed in the conversation, I honestly forget to ask people. But I want to ask you these three questions. So, first question, what personal practice, we know, dude, what personal practice has been the most transformative for you? We know,
Yeah.
dude, we've been speaking about it the whole fucking podcast. Cool, sweet.
Yeah.
Second question, how do you stay open and loving when the world can sometimes feel heavy and cruel?
I think I have my routines. I try to always just fall back into them because that is like the sun's gonna go down, the sun's gonna come back up. And I think the more we kind of assimilate to that, there is darkness before there's light, and there's light before there's darkness, and learning to allow things to happen. I think that's like the first thing, right? It was like, I think we're a culture where we want to control things because of X, Y, and Z. Learning to allow and let go is very important. And when things don't go your way, just know like right, it happened. And one of my favorite sayings is everything is gonna be okay in the end, and if it's not okay, it's not the end. I love that because Imagine I hear it in the middle of a yoga, 45-minute yoga flow. Adri is next to me, shaking, sweating. She's like, she hates this, this certain yoga flow that we go. It's like a guy that he's like obviously years into it, and we're relatively beginners. So
Yeah,
it's always a challenge. And but yeah, man, I think you just have to appreciate this life. We only get X amount of time. Time is limited too. You have to learn that there's always going to be something to complain about. There's always going to be something to bicker about, but finding the things to love and appreciate in life always have a higher vibration, have a higher. The more we can open, the more we can love in any aspect, in any, as you mentioned, like even if you're sharing something dark, but share it from light. There you go. You're transmuting uh, of negative wavelength to a higher wavelength. So I think the
beautiful.
concept that we're like a transmutation device of energy as a human, that helps a lot.
Like, yeah, it
Yeah,
does, dude. I love that. Last question. If you could speak to your younger self, what loving wisdom would you like to leave in their hearts?
yeah. I think I'm gonna be a little funny here. I would say shake that ass. Learn to shake that ass. All just quick because it's I grew up Hispanic, and in Hispanic households, there's a lot of parties, and the parties are usually long into the night, and there's dancing, and it's you don't realize it because it's like mom's telling you, no, come on, dance, give dance, salsa, like bachata, like these. It's a pattern that you had to follow, and I
Sure.
always kind of struggled with matching the dancing, and it wasn't until I found, let's say, raving, that was like it's not choreographed, there is no, it's almost like a freedom aspect. That was when it finally clicked for me. So never give up. It's a very important mantra I like to live with. And yeah, just like I said, if everything's gonna be okay in the end, and if it's not okay, it's not the end.
I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for stepping into this space with me. You know, I'm so grateful to the people in my life, and I'm so grateful to myself for creating this space because it's like it allows me this, dude. Like I get to just like call up my friends and say, "Hey, let's get into it, dude." You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like I love you so much. Let's learn more about each other.
me too, man.
And by doing that, again, like how do we help the world? This is how we do it, right? By again sharing our light, sharing our darkness through the light. And so thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for being so authentic. And dude, thank you for continuing to share your light everywhere, including the dance floor, dude. I love you very much, bro. Thank you.
Love you too, Ben. Thanks for having me on.